Hi, this is 365801, and this is a reading vlog for Summerween 2023. Coffee here. I'm going to be reading some of the selections that I have chosen. I have already started The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I know that the dates, I think it's the 7th today, so technically we're starting now, but I actually did take these off the shelves and have a wee think about what I was going to be reading for this Summerween. I'm still undecided exactly, but so far I have 4 titles. Now there are 5 challenges. I'm trying to remember what they all are. But it's like read a thriller, read a graphic novel or novella or manga, read in the dark, read with an orange or black on the cover, and I can't remember what the 5th one is. I'm gonna have to check. Read a spooky title? I don't know. Read something set in the fall or autumn if you're in the UK. Great, there we go. That's the 5 challenges for Summerween 2023. This isn't orange, it's more yellow, isn't it? So this doesn't count, but it is supposed to be like a thriller mystery, but also like a murder mystery. So this would definitely count as a thriller, I think, or a spooky title, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be set in the fall though, it seems to be set in the winter. It's December, so that, because I've started it, because I was like, I don't know when this is taking place. So I am 60 pages in to The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. We've been introduced to Hal. She is having a lot of money problems and she's been given this possible opportunity. Everything that's on the little synopsis at the back pretty much is what I've read. I haven't read anything necessarily new information yet, but I am up to page 16. I think I'm going to start getting more or new information. But this is the general premise, and I know a lot of people have read Ruth Ware and a lot of people have read The Death of Mrs. Westaway. I have not read Ruth Ware before, or this one. I got this from a charity shop for about 50p. So hopefully it's going to be good. I'm going to try and see if I can get as much of this read as possible today. And I might, maybe, fingers crossed, get some things from the library. Because as you can see, there's only 4. I picked up The Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. Also is not black and orange. Don't know if it's set in the fall. I don't know about that. This one, The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I have read a Stuart Turton before, but I've not read this one. And I also picked this one up at a charity shop. And I have the audio version from my library booked out. So I could definitely read this one in the dark. It's super long though. God, can he not write a book less than 500 pages? Jesus. So this might be one that I have to listen to every night for the week as I'm going to bed, because it's going to be super, super long. The audio is going to be like, I don't know, 16 or 17 hours or something. But it does mean I could read it in the dark without actually looking. So yes, this is probably one that I might end up doing that too. And the other one, I don't know, this looks like it might be a fall thing. Very spooky. This is also one that Izzy from Isabel's Alright. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Small Spaces. These are 2 that she's thinking of doing for this as well. And I was like, I have them too. And I do want to read them. I've been meaning to read this for a while. Everyone says that this one's really good. Although they do say that The Bear and the Nightingale is better. But this is a like a middle grade series. And I was super pleased to find it in my charity shop for 50p. Or was this £1? Maybe it was £1. I can't remember. But I think I can get through this one really quickly. I don't think it counts as a novella because it's a proper book and it's like over 200 pages. So that's what I definitely need to look out for as well. So I don't know when this is set, but I'll probably read this in the dark. This one so far would count as my thriller. I don't know about this one, but I think it should be easy. It's got mixed media and stuff, and that really reads fast. So we'll see about that one. And yeah, this one, maybe it's set in the fall. Fingers crossed. Because I don't know. Otherwise, I will be going to my library, my local library. Well, there's a couple around here because we've got lots of little libraries all over the place in the Highlands, and hopefully picking up something. I have ordered a couple of things, but I don't know if they'll actually get to be able to be picked up because they're miles away. So we shall see. This is the plan for the week. These 4 anyway. And as I said, I have an audiobook for this one. I'll see if I can maybe get it on. I can probably read this on its own. But I do like reading things with audio. So anyway, that's my plans for the week. Carrying on at the moment with a bit of a mystery thriller. I did have another book in mind, but my library, even digitally, I have to wait. And I might not get it by the time the Summerween is finished. So this is my choice instead. And so far, it's fairly interesting. So yeah, I'll check in when I've read a bit more. Okay, I'm getting a little bit snuggly in keeping myself warm. I am at page, is it 104? Yeah, start of chapter 13. And I don't know if I'm going to be like spoiling it, so if I do, then I'll put spoilers here, like just in case. But this is quite a famous book. It's been out for a while. I think it was 2018. A lot of people have already read it. I'm assuming that there'll be a twist, but if I'm totally honest, given what the synopsis was at the back, and the fact that this is like a thriller mystery type story, it is going exactly as I imagined it would be going, because we have the majority of this story is from Hal's perspective, Harriet's perspective, but then you get these other sections here where we have like 1994 December, and we know that it's from someone else, and the way that it was being presented, I was like, oh well, this is either Mrs. Westaway herself, or it's someone else who knows and does tarot. But the only other person we know in the story so far who does tarot, other than the main character Harriet, is her mother. And we also know that her name is, I'm trying to remember, Madame Magda something. Anyway, she's got a particular name and it's very interesting and different. But it's Harriet's middle name. But we also have found out that the name of the lady who Harriet is pretending to be the daughter of is called Maud. But Maud's name has come up in these stories with the italicized little like journal entries from this person who practices using the tarot cards. So yeah, I'm just gonna put it out here now. If this is a spoiler, this is a spoiler. But basically, I may as well. It's 100 pages in, and there's like 300 pages or something. 200 and something. 384. So yeah, I've still got quite a ways away to do this, but I'm going to put this out here because you know what I love about mysteries and things like that is solving them way before than I'm supposed to. But honestly, everything about the story is going exactly as I imagined. As soon as Hal got the letter saying that she was the granddaughter of Mrs. Westaway, I was like, okay. But then she's like, oh, my parents died over 20 years ago. And Hal's 21. And her mum had her when she was 18. And I was like, okay. So she doesn't know who her grandparents are. and she probably doesn't know very much about them unless her mother told her. But her mother obviously didn't tell her that much about them. Maybe she, the names of them and stuff, but then also she didn't tell very much about who the father was. She just said it was some guy who spoke Spanish, and she was 18 at the time when she had her. So I'm like, okay, so it's just you and your mum, and a mysterious background, or a not particularly fleshed out background, and you're getting this letter saying you're in some way connected to this family and this lady, Mrs. Westaway. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so here it is. Here's my predictions. This is my predictions. Tell me if I'm wrong, because with this last chapter of the journal entry of this character, who we now have found out is called Maggie. I'm like, oh, okay. And as far as I'm concerned, Maggie is pregnant. She hasn't said it, she hasn't stated it out loud yet, but as far as I'm concerned, Maggie is pregnant. She is also the cousin of Maud, and the two of them are stuck in this house. And Mrs. Westaway is this evil woman who is Maud's mother and Maggie's aunt. And we now have found out that Maggie's parents died, one from illness and one from a heart attack, and that her father was Mrs. Westaway's brother. So, my guess is, this is my guess, guys, that Maggie is Hal's mother, that she's 18, and that she's pregnant. And as far as I can guess, she'd be pregnant from someone, but if she's been stuck in this house, the only people she could be made pregnant by are her cousins. There are 3 men now, but they would be young at that point in time. Maybe they'd be in their 20s, I don't know. I don't know how exactly how old they would be. But there are 3 uncles that Hal is pretending to be the niece of. But I'm assuming that one of these guys or someone from the household has maybe sexually assaulted, maybe seduced this Maggie cousin who has come to live in this house because her parents have died and she's still technically a minor at that point, 17 or 18. So and she's the only person that she's getting on well with is Maud. So in my mind, this is what this whole story is about. That she got this letter, Hal got this letter saying, your grandmother has just passed away and you're entitled to some inheritance. And she's like, this is a lie, this is a fraud, but I'm going to commit fraud. But there is actually no fraud, because technically she would be the great niece of Mrs. Westaway. But if one of Mrs. Westaway's sons has had their wicked way with her mum Maggie, then technically one of her sons, Mrs. Westaway's sons, is also Hal's father, which would mean that yes, technically, she is also the granddaughter of Mrs. Westaway, as well as the grandniece. Ew. Incest is best when it comes to these kinds of stories. They always make them more fun and enjoyable. But I don't think that's where the only mystery is going to be. I think the death of Mrs. Westaway is going to be in some way, like it's going to be like a murder, or it's going to be like she took her own life, or there's been a murder or something like that, and it's going to have something to do with the sons, and that someone will have taken. It'll be like for money or something stupid like that, but that also, or it'll be because she knew, maybe Mrs. Westaway knew that actually Maggie, the niece, was pregnant by one of her sons, and so she always knew that the child would have been her granddaughter anyway, granddaughter or grandson anyway. But Hal, but the sons don't necessarily know that, because they think she's Maud's child, when in actual fact she's not. She's Maggie's child. So there you go. I think there will actually be a murder, and I think it will have something to do, or a framed murder, like a pretend murder to get the truth out. And that's how Mrs. Westaway's kind of done that whole thing. So yeah, that's my understanding of how this story's going to go. So for me, I don't think there's going to be any twist, because she's basically in this 100 pages told me everything I needed to know to be able to go, oh, okay. If you watch enough Midsummer Murders, then you're gonna know. So if I'm wrong in any way, that's great, because that'll be exciting. But if I'm not, and I'm just gonna read the story, I'm gonna be like, well, that could have been an episode of Midsummer Murders. I could have been watching could have been watching Midsummer Murders instead. But yeah, it might be interesting. I don't know. I'm gonna carry on. That's me at my 100 page mark. So we'll see how far I can get. I'm enjoying it. It's good. But now I'm like, this chapter was quite early in, and I'm like, okay, but is that everything? Because I kind of guessed it, right? We shall see. Am I correct? I'll maybe check in when I've read another 100 pages. We'll see if there's another point where I'm like, ooh, that's the information. So yeah, maybe when we get to another one. But yeah, I'm guessing this is what's happened. So yeah, we'll see if I'm right. So I've made some wraps for lunch. It's a little bit of a late lunch. It'd probably be the only thing I really properly eat today. Anyway, I am at 221, or maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm a bit further along than that. Yeah, I'm a couple of pages beyond that. Anyway, I'm past the 200 page mark. Now, more spoilers territory. Am I enjoying this? Yes. Do I feel like it's traveling in the direction that I assume that it's going to be? Yes. So it doesn't feel like this is particularly groundbreaking. I'm not getting too many spoilers, like twists. So I don't feel like I'm like, oh, shock. Like, nothing is a shock. Honestly, this is just like a Midsummer Murders episode. I mean, it's like, if this was on TV, I would just look at which is the highest paid character actor, and that's the person who did it. You know, it's that kind of thing. In terms of this, we're traveling into spoiler territory now, because I'm going to talk about it a bit more in terms of the plot. So back at page 100, almost like 2 or 3 pages after that point when I last spoke, it was very heavily implied that it would be, as far as I was concerned, Ezra as the father, and that there was obviously something going on, and Mrs. Westaway knows. Like, she must have known. And if she knew, then the housekeeper probably knew. So, you know, that's a whole thing. There's also there's a very vague but possible thing about the fact that they haven't actually said that Abel is gay. He's in a relationship with a man, he's married, but that doesn't mean he's not bisexual. And that doesn't mean that he didn't have a dalliance with Hal's mum when he was there. So they talk about the summer when they were there, and in one of the diary entries from Maggie, Hal's mother, she mentions not having met the eldest brother, Harding, yet. And so, and also when Abel comes home, he's kind of just like, oh, hey, hi, and that's kind of dismissive. So it's not saying that he didn't and it wasn't him. It's kind of implied that maybe it's a possibility. And so if that's the twist, it's not really a great twist. You know, if you look back and you're like, oh, like, no, I'm not gonna. I'm like already picking up what you're putting down, love, you know? And also that's like the twist. The gay man isn't actually gay. He's bisexual. It's not really it's not really the plot flex that you think it is. Ruth Ware, if that's the case. Not for me anyway. I'd be very like cutting about this anyway. So yeah, it's either Ezra or it's Abel. That's kind of the whole thing. If she is the granddaughter. And then it was that whole thing of like, when when Hal was doing her first research into Mrs. Westaway, it was like the obituary said she was survived by her 3 sons, and it gave the names Harding, Abel, and Ezra. And she said, "Oh, is one of these guys' brothers supposed to be my father then?" And I was like, well, is that a big clue then? So yes. So that was kind of the thing. Like, I picked up on that even in the first read. I was like, oh, is that because you don't know who your father is, love? That's what I said out loud. Yeah, everything's going as I imagine it to be. The plot's plotting along as it's supposed to. I'm at the point in time when she has just extricated herself from Mrs. Warren, the evil housekeeper. And yeah, I'm about to hear it. That she's trying to get back. So she's at the train station. But because Mrs. Warren has stated this and called her mother a conniving gold digger, she's putting the or I'm hoping, I'm assuming that there'll be a point in time when she's putting the 2 and 2 together to get 4. You know, it's like, oh, you know, there'll come that point. But for the reader, it's like, it's just not really. I know that there are sometimes, like, I'm waiting for the twist. Mrs. Westaway knew. She knew who the father was. She found out. Somehow she found out. I don't know. Maud is still AWOL. For me, that's the biggest mystery. Where is Maud? How's Maud getting on? Is she down in the south of France somewhere? And did Mrs. Westaway actually die, or was she murdered? Like, that would be great. Can we have that, please? Because so far this whole story is like so surface and so obvious and so like, yeah, all right, but where's the actual mystery? Where did Maud go? What happened with Maud? Is Maud dead? What happened to her? And Mrs. Westaway, it does seem like this book is called The Death of Mrs. Westaway. Is there a point where they have made some sort of allusion, like, oh, you know, Ezra was like, oh, are you about to tell us who the murderer was? You know, who murdered my mother? Like, all the brothers, they hated her. They hated the mother. Abel's husband, Edward, you know, he's a doctor, so quite easily slip a few pills into Mrs. Westaway, but she might have seen that coming. She might have known. I don't know. But it's not the kind of mystery that's pressing. It's not one that I'm like, oh, I need to know. This whole story is like, well, is it Abel or is it Ezra? It's one of the brothers. One of the brothers boned your mum. One of them's your daddy. The baby daddy. Yeah, I'm not really, unless it goes, you know, banana pants crazy at the end. I still have another 100 and something pages, almost 200 pages, I think. It's quite a long one. 380, so almost 400 pages. So I'm halfway through. Does it look like half? It should feel like more than half. It should feel, yeah, it does feel slightly more than half. But I can't say I'm like, wow, the mystery. But I am enjoying the characters. So that's a good thing. But for me, I'm like, where's Maud? That's my big thing. So I'm hoping that Maud turns up at some point in some way. Or at least we find out what happened to Maud. Because that, for me, is the mystery. And I don't really care about anything else. So, yeah. Because everything else is so obvious. It's not going to be a big, like, shock to us as the readers. And I do think there is something to do with, like, mystery books like that, thriller mysteries, like, when the audience already knows, but it's the characters who are discovering. There's definitely something in that. I mean, Agatha Christie did it herself. But for me, I much prefer, like, oh, what's going on? Instead of it just being like, oh, well, that's obviously what happened. Anyway, maybe it is too many good ITV dramas. Another great ITV drama. I've watched too many of them. Anyway, I'm going to carry on and have my lunch. It's got Cajun chicken, and I've like tortilla chips and some spicy stuff. Yeah, should be good. But yeah, I will carry on reading this and check in with you either when there's a twist or when I finished. So yeah, we'll see how I get on. And then what else I'm gonna read. So it's really grey and rainy now. It's been on and off rainy. I've had a bit of a headache, but I have finished The Death of Mrs. Westaway. It was very emotional by the end. And I think it was well constructed. It was very much like, well, this would make a really good made-for-TV movie. Honestly, it's very much like that. I don't know if that's what it was expected to be written in that way, but that's what it felt like. So after the 200-page mark, was the point in time when she started going on a lot of misdirection, and a huge section of misdirection to try and throw me off the scent and put the fatherhood position on someone else, and also to make things go in a different direction. But then veered right back to where I'd originally thought anyway. So I was like, well, I was right then, wasn't I? I was also right in a way, because right at the beginning, when you get two characters who have the same name, you're like, well, there's going to be a bit of switcheroo going on. And also when someone is killed by a hit and run and they never find the person who did it, red flag, massive red flag. And in my head I'm going, well, this is suspicious, that's suspicious, that's weird, that's suspicious. Like, obviously they're massive red flags, and it's not like you forget about them. They're pretty big, and there's like a thing that's running throughout. Yeah, so for me there was definitely the possibility and opportunity for things to go in a certain way, and they did go in a certain way, and then at the end it was just banana pants crazy, like a thriller type thing, which I kind of had expected that the shit would hit the fan at some point, but I wasn't entirely convinced that it was going to go the way that it did go. I'm sorry if you can hear a cat meowing. One of the neighbour's cats is on my windowsill again, just meowing very obnoxiously whilst staring dead-eyed at me. Like loud meows, like not just a meow, it's a meow. Like the longest meow ever. No, I'm not giving you any ham. Don't yawn at me. Anyway, back to this. I enjoyed it. It was good. It ended the only way it could have ended, without the bad guy getting away with it. But I do have a few things to point out. So that was one of the things I was like, none of this makes sense for the character who is Maud to have not been truthful, and also to not have gone to the police. And I was like, yeah, okay, that needed to be explained at the end, because up until that point I was like, well, if she knew, because the people who knew the wrongdoing didn't do what they were supposed to do. And I can see why from the mother's point, the Mrs. Westaway point, but from Maud's point I didn't. Or why she didn't go to her brothers, who would have understood and been like why did she not tell them? Why did she just not tell the brother? I mean, that's still a question. Why did she not just tell the brothers? Why did she run away from everyone if it was just the mother and the brother? Ezra. Like, why did she not confide in Harding and Abel? It makes no sense. Also, my other point is, Mrs. Westaway is a cold-hearted bitch. Like, we knew this. We know this. We continue to know this. This is a fact that goes from the beginning right to the end. But she knew who Harriet was. She knew the significance of Harriet. She also knew that Harriet lost her mother from a suspicious hit and run before she was even 18. So this is a 17-year-old girl left alone in the world. And this grandmother who lives in a house, fancy, who has been sending money surreptitiously, just doesn't anymore, and lets the 17-year-old, grieving 17-year-old, destitute and poor and alone in the world, just be. She just doesn't do anything. She doesn't provide surreptitious money like, hey, you've just won this cash prize, congratulations. And you're like, I don't remember, buying a raffle ticket. It's like she didn't even pop down to Brighton and get her palm read and go like, oh, lovely, here's 50 quid, you did a great job, like, I'll be back next month. Like, none of that. And did she not do that? I mean, she could have done it surreptitiously. She could have given her money. She could have financially supported this poor, destitute, grieving 17-year-old. But no, this cold-hearted bitch does fuck all except decide to stir the pot when she's gone. I mean, I can understand that. Like, oh, her pride and joy and all that. The whole situation is effed up. But to leave this poor girl alone with no money? I mean, it honestly could have just been the lawyer. She could have had the lawyer, send a letter saying, hey, we just heard that your mother died. Did you know that she had this bank account that she was putting money in, saving up for your, university? Here's 10 grand. She could have done that. She could have done that, and no one would have known. Ezra would never have known. No one would have known. And she didn't. She did fuck all, except fuck up her life and almost get her killed. What a bitch. What a bitch. So that's one thing. But also, she, as the grandmother, she knows what happened to her daughter. So her precious son murders her daughter in cold blood. And she knows, Mrs. Westaway knows, that her son, who is a murdering son of a bitch, knows where her granddaughter, his daughter, lives. And does F all about it. Like, he literally could break in and strangle her in the middle of the night. Ugh. Cold-hearted bitch. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely some issues there. I'm like, what? But I can see why it was written the way it was. I think it's a perfectly well-crafted story. It's fun. So yeah, I'm gonna have a big spoiler section written all over wherever I'm saying spoilers. So, yeah. Spoilers, because I'm salty and I'm annoyed, but I have enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I'm not sure if I need to read any more Ruth Ware's, because it was predictable. Like, if you're gonna have two people with the same name, and people who have the same facial features, and a lot of the things, the whole blue eye, brown eye thing, I was like, when she said, oh, she was looking for someone who had blue eyes, and I was like, well, what color were your mother's eyes? Well, if they're the same as yours, then that's why. But then I was like, hold on, the phrasing in the diary wasn't exactly that. It didn't say her brown eyes or her dark eyes met his blue eyes. It wasn't that. And I was just like, okay. And also, I did think it was interesting the way that she did handle the photograph, and who and how people, how they interacted with the photograph. Yeah. Anyway, it was interesting. I'm gonna maybe get a bit of slack here for saying this. I really liked Ezra. I liked him as a character. I thought it was pretty cool. Um, yeah, obviously he was crazy. Absolutely homicidal. Um, but generally it was kind of like, oh, okay. But they had a way of hiding his crazy, which I felt was weird as the brothers. Just the whole thing was a bit like, really? Would they not have, like, it felt like there was more things going on in the background, and like Harding and Abel would have known. And if they didn't, they just guessed that something had happened and they didn't want to talk about it. Yeah. There was a lot of misdirection that I was just like, what? That makes no sense. Because it didn't. It was just put there to be misdirection. So the fact that I, from the offset, was like, okay, that's a red flag, that's suspicious, that's going to come into play later on, and all of those things did, it wasn't hidden as well as it probably should have been. And also, this is the other thing. The solicitor, he knew. He obviously knew. He knew. And she almost got killed because he did F all about it. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you know that a murder's being committed and the possibility that another one's going to be committed, you're accessory to murder, boyo, whether you're a lawyer or not. He knew, and he said nothing. I don't know about you, but I would be pissed. Anyway, that's the end of the death of Mrs. Westaway. I did enjoy it. It was great. But unfortunately, this is a yellow. It does have black, though. It could count, because it's got black. It's definitely got black on the cover. So this could be my orange and black one, especially if I don't get my library books. And I don't know if I'm going to. We'll see if they come by the end. Anyway, what am I going to read next? Small Spaces? A Good Girl's Guide to Murder? Or Evelyn Hardcastle? I'll let you know when I've started one of them. Morning. What are you saying? You saying hello? Oh, you're saying pet me and feed me. Pet me and feed me. What is your name after all? Oh, you were just so noisy on the windowsill, weren't you? So noisy. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Oh, you like your bum rubbed. Cha-cha-cha-cha. Hello, hello. I might have a wee bit of sausage for you. What about a sausage? A wee bit of sausage? I know you like ham. I gave you some ham yesterday. Oh, whose cat are you? Oh, you're so gorgeous. Oh, you're so gorgeous. Oh, good. Oh, covered in hair. Covered. Uh-huh. Is that what you're saying? Uh-huh. You saying anything else? Oh, that as well. Okay. Let's get you something then. Are you sure? Oh, okay. Okay. You sure? You want this? Okay. So, So sausage is a no, but ham is an okay one. Alright then. Here. Yeah. Morning. There we go. Is that good? Okay. See you later. So now that my duty as the neighbourhood cat lady has been completed, I do have my breakfast. I've got like an avocado beetroot salad, some mushrooms, some scrambled egg, and some sausages. Don't worry, I had a spare sausage in the kitchen and it's not got mustard or anything. And I didn't give her the whole bit, I just gave her a little bit to see if she wanted it, and she didn't really want it, so she got normal ham. I think it's a she anyway. She screams. Anyway, I was thinking I might go to the library. I don't know, I might do. I'm in the Highlands of Scotland, so that's my that's for the whole of the Highlands. Also, like the sports thing as well. This is your sports card as well as your library card. So if you were traveling around the Highlands, it's a big area. It's not a big area if you're in America, but it's a big area in the UK. It's like a third of the size of Scotland, so it's a pretty hefty size. You can get into all the different places for sports, so you could travel around with a card like that. That'd be really handy. Anyway, so we have finished The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware, which I'm still thinking about. So I don't know, that's a good one. And I've started The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle as an audiobook, because I have an audiobook from the library, in the dark. So that might be my Reading in the Dark one, because I can listen to it. So I did start that last night, and all I can say is I'm confused and I don't know what's going on. And I think that's how I'm supposed to feel. So I was thinking I might start Small Spaces. Does this, I don't think this counts as a novella or anything. And I'm still waiting on some things to arrive at the library, so I don't think I'll get it until Monday, any of my library things. But that does mean I could probably, in theory, read these three before then. And I do have a couple of other things upstairs, if I need to. And I also have a lot of manga that I could do a reread of, or I could read a couple of things I have that's new. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm going to carry on with this one. This might be, because it's a long, chunky boy. That might be what I read throughout the whole week. But I could probably get these two read over the next couple of days. Anyway, this is what I'm going to have. I do have lots of chores to do today. Got my oven to clean, or to finish cleaning, because I started it and then just was like, nah, I'm not feeling it. And I've got some washing to hang out, so I need to put that on and make sure that's all going. I want to film a video today, maybe even two, fingers crossed. So I might head out and do some stuff. And also there's a Grand Prix on this weekend, so qualifying is at 3 o'clock today. It is Saturday, so... And the sun is shining and it's looking lovely and it's starting to heat up again. So anyone who said the summer is over, they lied. It was so muggy yesterday. So yeah, hopefully I'll get lots of things done and I'll be productive. And I also got some fabulous news yesterday. Well, not fabulous, but good news. I was feeling a little bit despondent, and then I came home to emails, and now I'm feeling less despondent and a little bit more like, okay. And I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, yeah, and also there's a book that I want to buy, and I don't know if that's the only one I want to buy. And I said I wasn't going to, but you know what? It's £6. How can I say no? I think I'm just going to buy it. So, yeah, we'll see. Anyway, this is my breakfast. These are my books. This is my life. We'll check in when I've read a bit more and have a little bit more to say about either The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle or Small Spaces, which I'm going to start next. So yeah. While I'm eating, I forgot to say, Shay from Shay Geeks Out and Izzy from Happy For Now did one of the things I really enjoy, which is like a 3-month ahead, what are the books that are coming out. And I do enjoy that. I don't listen to everything because I'm not interested in everything, but I listen to obviously any of the BL stuff. So yeah, excited about that. Some of the things I'm like, I did not know that. I'm excited. So yeah. But if it's something like, oh, definitely not interested, I can just move it slightly forward and go, okay. But so much planning and work into that. That is a lot of work. So well done, guys. It's a one-handed clap, but very, very entertaining. So I'm going to do that while I'm having my breakfast. So I am back. Oh, sorry, yawning. I've honestly I've had to lie down for about 10 minutes um just to just to get over the walk back. It's so hot. It's like 28 degrees. I knew it was hot. I could feel it. As soon as I went outside to hang the washing up, I was like, this is super hot. And then I got there and I went to the library and I got The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. And this is a graphic novel version, so I can do my graphic novel. Yay! And I also went to the charity shop and saw a lovely hardback version of Piranesi, which is really quite nice. And I've heard that it's really interesting and weird, and makes you think. And it's about someone who is just trapped in a kind of room. And I got it for £2, which is not bad. A good, hardback that everyone raged about. So, raged? Is that the word? I'm so sorry. I am like super boo. So I went there, and then I walked past the supermarket, the Co-op. That's the one we've got on the high street. And I walked past it on the way to the charity shop. And then on the way back, I was going to stop in and get like some ice lollies and some juice and things like that. And there was some sort of issue with the doors. So now I have nothing because they had to close early, or at least close for repairs and hope that they could get it back up and running again. So I might go out for another wee walk when it's cooler in the evening. But they also said we're going to have thunderstorms. So I've booked myself in for a headache around 7:30. That should be delightful. I have this problem where I am a human barometer and can tell when there is massive shifts of changing air pressure and stuff. So when there's a storm gathering, I know about it, especially when it goes from super hot to rainy. But it does mean that I've got this now, and I knew I would get something from the library. So I like to get something from the library anyway. So Edgar Allan Poe, that's spooky, and a graphic novel. I did have a listen. I wouldn't have said it was a complete waste because I got these two things, and I got to listen to the rest of Shay and Izzy's breakdown of the next 3 months of manga releases. So I feel up to date. And oh my goodness, there has been a lot of BL announcements. A lot of BL announcements, which is not great for my wallet. But then I never buy them ASAP anyway. And a couple of them I've already read. That went up yesterday, the day before. Yes, it went up anyway. It went up. My Yen Press one. Very happy about that. Anyway, I am going to get the Grand Prix on because qualifying's about to start, which is why I'm actually here, because otherwise I would have just had a snooze. And get my ice lolly. That's the last one in the freezer. That's what I'm gonna have. So we are doing some reading sprints with Gabby. I might just go and get some food to munch on while I'm doing these as well. But I have my headphones on and I'm listening to a little bit of The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I've got the book as well, but I also have the graphic novel. So I might give this a wee read as well. Depends how long these sprints go for. But yeah, this is me for the evening, I think. It's started to get a bit darker and there are raindrops coming down, and probably in about half an hour we're probably going to have a thunderstorm, which is going to be very atmospheric and very Summerweenish, I think. Well, the sprints are just about to finish, and I have finished Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. This is very much made for children. It was in the young adult section, and I don't think it should have been in the young adult section. I think it should have been in the middle grade, maybe. Even I would have said primary 6 or 7 could read this, and I'm the only one that's ever taken it out. But they do have 4 in the series, and I think I ordered the Fall of the House of Usher, which I'm kind of interested in because was it T. Kingfisher did like their own version of that one. But I do like the Telltale Heart. This one was okay. I don't think I'm that enamored. It's very, very young. But I like this image on the front. It's great. Anyway, I don't want to go back to the Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle just yet, so I am gonna do small spaces and hope that this is set in fall. I don't know when this was set. They just said it was humid, so I don't know. So yeah, but at least this is my graphic novel done and done. So yeah, great. I will move on to small spaces. But I think the sprint's about to finish, and I have finished my sandwich, so I think I'm gonna have something else. I think I have donuts. I have donut. So this is what I've got for my snacks. I've got a dark chocolate Tunnocks tea cake. So excited. Jammy donut and a blue riband. I haven't seen one of these in ages. And a cup of tea. And it has officially started chucking it down, so I can feel a little bit of a headache, really just like around the edge of my head. That's when it comes. I've taken the slip off small spaces and started this. I've done a few pages, and it already has October, so I know this is going to be my fall read. But we're still on the sprint, so I'm going to carry on reading it and eating my snacks, having my tea. So good morning. The bells for the church are ringing, which means it's about 10 to 11, and I have slept well. I'm not going to church. The church is literally across the road. It's not even a road. It's like, that's my neighbour. I'm neighbours with church. So yeah, I went to bed at about 10 to 11 last night. I did not stay for the whole of the sprints that Gabby was hosting, just because it was getting late and I was starting to feel really tired. So I went to bed thinking I was going to listen to The Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and I barely did. I was like, no, too tired. But it was in the dark, so it's an audiobook and I'm trying to read it in the dark. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I feel like everyone is lying. And I don't understand. There's a lot of characters, and because I'm trying not to read it with my eyes, I have no idea where I am. Let's see. I'm even just like in the minute. It's just started. I've just started. I think I'm around here. But yeah, because I'm not actually trying to read it, it's a little bit more. Oh, there's a map. Oh, see, this is the thing about audiobooks. There's a map. I think I prefer this. Maybe I should be reading it with my eyes. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I'm also only just started this one, which is actually really fun and easy to read. I'm using my hair bobble as a bookmark. That's the kind of person I am. That's how I roll. So yeah, and I don't enjoy reading more than one book at a time. So this is like, all right then. But yeah, small spaces I am actually enjoying. And Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. Damn you, Stuart Turton. I'm just confused at this stage. But it is the beginning, and I'm assuming I'm going to be confused. I was never confused with the Dead in the Dark Water. Never confused. Always just like, what? Like I knew what was going on. Whereas this one I'm just like, because I'm 100% trying to listen to it rather than read it. But I think I'm going to have to crack during the day and read. Because, they've got like stuff. I haven't even cracked it open and looked. You know, it's like, just don't do it. Don't do it. I think it would make so much more sense to read this, or at least to have these things open, so you're like, oh, okay, because all these people were getting mentioned. I was like, I don't know who they are. I've already forgotten their names. I think, yeah, like Belle. Bell. What's his name? I I will get there eventually. Dr. Sebastian Bell. Belly. they're so British. They're so terribly, terribly British. With their upper crust accents. So terribly British. Yeah, so anyway. And like the deaths of the child. Okay, so they introduced like that there was a death of a child. Was he 7? 20 odd years ago or something? And I'm like, well, that's like the character Sebastian Bell says, well, that's too much of a coincidence. I'm like, yeah, yeah. And also the person who supposedly didn't save the kid, but found the person who did it. I'm like, yeah, he fucking did it. You know he did. You know he did. And he gets a plantation somewhere else. I'm like, no, no. You have made your money and your wealth through nefarious means, sir. Anyway, like, the thing is about Stuart Turton, I don't trust him because he writes these huge, big books, and then at the end you want to throw it across the room. Do I want to feel that? I don't. I kind of don't. But also at the same time, I have not stopped thinking about the Dead in the Dark Order, so it's one of those. I'm still thinking about it. And that's the thing, like, I am mostly just male romance BL, but like the standard fare that I'm reading, that does seem to stick with me longer, so better for my memory. Maybe that's why all the old people read all these crime stories. It's always old people reading all of these murder crime stories. Anyway, so yeah, I have a lovely Danish and I have a cup of coffee. This looks like strong tea, but it's actually coffee. I needed hot coffee today because it has rained a lot since yesterday. It's still very wet outside, and I was going to film, and I don't know if it's going to be bright enough because it still seems pretty dark. So maybe if I opened the blinds, it might be bright enough to film what I wanted to film. We'll see. But I might film another one as well that's a bit easier because I didn't do the filming that I was planning to yesterday. But I might watch a bit of Rachel Maxey while I'm eating this. It looks so good. Instead of listening to this book because yeah, let's watch some Rachel Maxey. So I have actually just finished reading Sheets. I was wanting to get this from my library or the Sad Ghost Club, and I could get volumes 2 and 3 of that, but not the first one. It was going to take a while. And Sheets I was having difficulty getting as well. So I ended up finding it on NetGalley. They'd literally just uploaded it, which is perfect. So yeah, today's been a bit of an odd day. I've watched the Grand Prix, that was great. I filmed a video, I edited the video, it is now exporting. So hopefully I can upload it onto my channel and put it on Patreon. It'll be a collection tour, which I've been putting off for ages. But yeah, so far, I haven't gotten too far into the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I keep trying to put it on like double speed. And I think reading it with my eyes is better. And small spaces, I think I might need the audiobook for this. I think I might need the audiobook for everything, except for the graphic novels. And this one it was so sweet. It was lovely. It was about a junior high school girl. She's not even in high school. And she's running the laundry that her mother ran after she passed away. And her father seems a bit of a deadbeat, to be honest. He's also fully dealing with his grief, but not, unfortunately, being the adult that she needs while she's dealing with her grief and running the household and running a business and going to school. I mean, what? Shocking behaviour from the father. And there's a man who keeps coming around and bothering her to try and get the business. And there's a boy she likes, and she's working hard, and there's bullies, um, and then there's a little ghost. There's a little ghost section, which is without the colour. And I love that juxtaposition between the two. And Wendell is just a little gorgeous ghost. He's just the cutest. He's just the cutest. And their lives, and I guess afterlives, kind of collide, and it's just super cute. It's super cute. So I would like to get a copy of this. I love the expressions on the ghosts. So yeah, this was incredibly well done. Brenna Thumler. It's just a lovely story, and it's definitely feel good. It's got the feel good factor, but it's also, I think it's near the end. They have sort of Halloween. It's all Halloweeny. It's all in autumn. Yeah, they have like this whole Halloween thing. So it's definitely, yeah, this is it. They're going out for Halloween. So yeah, it's Halloween, autumn, set in the fall, brilliant, and a graphic novel, which is perfect. But I really enjoyed it. It was really good, and highly recommend Sheets. And I would like a copy. So yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna put in this vlog, because it's probably gonna be about an hour already. So yeah, this is the end of what I'm gonna say for Sunday. So what's this? The 7th, the 8th, the 9th. Today's the 9th. I'm like trying to do, and I'm kind of tired now because of the weather's been off and on. It's been sunny, and then it's raining, and then it's sunny, and it's raining, and right now it's very grey and overcast. But yeah, I will try and get more of my books done. But I have technically got a thriller or one with black on the cover, a graphic novel or one with black on the cover, and a graphic novel or one set in the fall. So um, these are ticking two of them, but I still need to read yeah, a couple more. So yeah, we're gonna see Small Spaces and Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, or I'm just gonna go into Good Girl's Guide to Murder and see if I can get that one as well. So that's what I've got left to do for this readathon, and a few more days left to do it. So yeah, thanks for watching. It's 365801. I make videos usually about Pia Maka and Maple Romance, but we're doing Summerween just now. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!